It was August 17th, 2021, when the call came in. A chilling report of a shooting in Cedar Rapids, Iowa. Alexander Jackson, a young man, claimed to have been shot by a masked intruder and that his family, his mother, father, and sister, had been killed. But as police arrived at the scene, what they found set in motion one of the most haunting cases in Iowa's history. When officers arrived at the Jackson home, they found Alexander injured with a gunshot wound to his foot. But the real shock was inside. His mother, father, and 19-year-old sister, Sabrina, were all dead. They had been shot, and the family dog, Maggie, a black Labrador, had also been killed. Inside the home, investigators found a .22 caliber handgun. As Alexander struggled to open the front door to let officers in, his story seemed suspicious, and the police began to piece together what happened. He was rushed to the St. Luke's Hospital in Cedar Rapids, where he was treated and then put into custody. Within 24 hours, he was discharged and transported to the headquarters of the Lynn County Sheriff's Office for booking. Alexander Jackson was then booked into the Lynn County Jail on 3 charges of first-degree murder and 1 of misdemeanor aggravated animal cruelty. The following day saw Alexander's first court appearance. It was virtual, with him sitting from the jailhouse beside his initial defense attorney, Jessica Lanza. Assistant Lynn County District Attorney John McGinty stood before the judge, describing Alexander Jackson as a dangerous individual. In this first appearance, District Judge Cassie Jones set Alexander's bail to an astounding $3 million, ensuring that he would remain behind bars while awaiting trial. It was clear this case was just the beginning, and its complexities would unfold in the weeks ahead. As the investigation continued, prosecutors began to tie Alexander to a criminal probe. Assistant District Attorney John McGinty presented evidence to a grand jury, which led to an upgraded set of charges, 3 counts of first-degree murder, that were now elevated to capital offenses, making them subject to the death penalty. Additionally, the charge of animal cruelty was raised to a felony. Once the grand jury had issued its decision, McGinty unsealed the indictment and appointed Assistant District Attorney Monica Slaughter to prosecute the case from that point forward. The case was now in the hands of Chief Judge Lars Anderson, who arraigned Alexander, where he pleaded not guilty to all charges. The $3 million bond remained, as Alexander would await trial behind bars. Alexander remained in the Lynn County Jail while awaiting trial. During this time, his defense team explored the possibility of a plea deal, but that option was quickly rejected. The prosecutors, now led by Monica Slaughter, were adamant about securing justice for the Jackson family and the death of their beloved dog. In January 2023, Alexander Jackson's case went to trial. Prosecutors initially sought the death penalty, but that option was later removed from the case before trial proceedings began. The judge had refused to let that be on the table. Represented by public defense attorney Tyler Johnston, Alexander stood trial for the murder of his family and the killing of their dog Maggie. The 12-person jury in the trial deliberated carefully, weighing the evidence, including the chilling details of Alexander's initial claims. the forensic evidence from the crime scene, and his actions after the incident. After a tense trial, the jury reached a verdict: guilty on all charges. A month later, on March 3rd, 2023, Judge Lars Anderson delivered the sentence. Alexander Jackson was handed 3 consecutive life sentences without the possibility of parole for the murders of his family members. For the animal cruelty charge, he was sentenced to an additional 1 to 5 years, also to be served consecutively. Alexander's fate was sealed, as the court made it clear that he would never again walk free. After sentencing, Alexander was taken to the Iowa Medical and Classification Center for evaluation, before being transferred to the Iowa State Penitentiary in Fort Madison, where he would serve his sentences. Though his conviction was upheld by Judge Anderson, Alexander appealed the case to the higher courts, and in January 2025, the Iowa Supreme Court affirmed the conviction. No new trial would be granted. Now, the only remaining question is whether the United States Supreme Court or the Innocence Project will take up his case in an attempt to clear his name. The lives of Alexander Jackson's family members were tragically cut short that night. His loving mother, Melissa, his father, Jan, and his sister, Sabrina, who was still a little girl, 19 years old, were all killed in cold blood. Their bodies were transported to the Lynn County Medical Examiner's office, where it was determined that they had been dead for several hours before being found. Their causes of death were ruled as gunshot wounds. Maggie, the family dog, was also found dead, shot and bled to death. Her remains were taken to the East Union Animal Hospital, where she was cremated. Her ashes were later returned to the family. The funerals of Jan, Melissa, and Sabrina were held privately on June 22, 2021, at the Brush Chapel and Avocenter Funeral Home. A small, intimate visitation and committal service were held, after which the family members were cremated. Their ashes were returned to the surviving relatives. While their lives were taken tragically, they were remembered in a private ceremony by those who loved them. Alexander Jackson, the story is far from over. His appeal to the higher courts may one day bring new revelations, but for now, his future is sealed. The Jackson family, however, will never be forgotten. Their lives and their tragic end remain etched in the memories of all who knew them. Thank you for listening to this episode of Strawberry Ink. Please share the episode and the show to your loved ones. Be sure to follow me on TikTok. My page is Strawberry Ink. And have a good rest of your day.